It's some people's favorite week of the year. It's going to be a weird one at the Egg Bowl, Ryan Curley. The Ole Miss Rebels are going to roll into Davis Wade Stadium to take on the Mississippi State Bulldogs. This is going to kick off the week of college football, the week we care about. Ole Miss is a 7.5 point favorite over State. ABC 12 o'clock. Lane Kiffin, Egg Bowl. Go.
Yeah, you look at all these games we're about to talk about and pick, and it gets kind of difficult to weigh in. How much do you want to weigh in the weird stuff that happens in these games and just the fact that it's a rivalry game and these games end up being tight? And then how much do you just weigh in what you've watched all year long? I'm gonna weigh that more this time and kind of regrettingly take Ole Miss minus 7.5. This is one that I am subject to change before the game happens on our pick story, but I have Ole Miss at the moment. I don't know what this lane announcement's gonna be for sure.
You don't
We
make
think
an
we know.
announcement to stick around. I'm staying
But
married.
yeah, so I don't know. It would be funny if it was a big announcement about staying and he was just trolling everybody. That would be funny. But I think that could bleed into the game and just the weirdness of what, with those players, what's about to happen. But I'm gonna tentatively take Ole Miss on this one.
Yeah, I really want to take State, but then I realize that they are absolutely falling apart. I don't care that this is a rivalry game. I don't think they have anything left. Their defense is bad. They still have Trinidad quarterback Chambliss at quarterback, and I think he wants to play well and finish this regular season off the way they have been all year long. So I'm going to take Ole Miss. I'm not going to think too much about it. I'm hoping some chaos happens. If it does, then State maybe has a chance here, but I don't believe in them. I'm going to take Ole Miss to cover.
Hey, what happens if Ole Miss loses this game? Are they out of the playoff?
They should be. You can't lose to Mississippi State and be a top 12 team. Can't do it.
Right.
Can you lose to Florida State and be a top 12 team?
In week one, you can.
That's my response.
This guy's getting pretty serious. Hey, look, I'm going to take Ole Miss here. I don't, I've seen enough. They can't. State can't stop anybody. Ole Miss can score constantly. I'm not going to overthink this one too much. I'm going to give me the Rebels and let's take it from there. How about this one though? This is a little bit tricky. Texas A&M is going to roll into Austin. Ryan, who wins this game? And does A&M cover this 2.5 points?
I'm gonna take Texas, and I don't like it at all. I don't like it at all, but I think
You're taking
it can get
Texas to
pretty
win or
serious.
just the two and a
I'm
half?
taking Texas to cover and to probably win, and I don't like it because I do think Texas A&M is a better football team than them. They have been all year long. Texas A&M has shown all year long it can win tight games, whether it's against someone good or someone bad. There's definitely some value in that. I think mentally it was good for Texas this past weekend to get a not a statement win, but just a better win than it's been getting. One where it wasn't as stressful, and that's good mentally heading into this. And it's just one of those things where like Arch, Sark, everyone, you just have to kind of trash the season in your mind and just go and win this game. The playoff is whatever at this point. I think A&M is gonna slip up here. They're still in the playoff either way, but they're gonna probably mess up their SEC championship hopes here.
I do not care what Texas did against a bad Arkansas defense. I still don't think they can run the ball. I think that Texas A&M defense can give them some real trouble, Arch Manning included. I know he's playing a little well. I don't believe in the playmakers around him. I think A&M is well coached, and I think they're going to be ready for this game. I think if Bro can limit the turnovers, Marcel Reed, and get the ball out effectively to his receivers who are game changers, if they play really well, they should win this game. I feel like they've been better all year long. I'm sure they are ready to trip up and pull a classic A&M. Probably expecting that to happen, but I'm going to have some faith in them. I think they're going to be ready. I think they're the better team. I think the Aggies get it done on the road. I don't think that place is going to be all that intimidating. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to take the Aggies here.
You have
Okay.
not heard those cannons, Matt.
Yeah.
Ah,
You've not heard those
it's a 1 second
cannons.
cannon. I don't think that they don't do
I
any third
I
down. I
still
don't
have
think it,
hearing damage from
yeah.
that.
And
Uh,
Bevo's pit really smells bad. Just I bet
yeah.
I each week go to a ranch kind of horses and I smell a lot of animal excrement. Bevo's is up there with the best of them. I'm going to take Texas here. I think Matt's wrong. I think that
It very well could be. I've been fuck all year. So
this I do think this is a coin flip game, which I think will. I'm looking forward to it. I hope I can get back to Athens in time to watch the end of it. I don't know if that will be the case. This is not a great Texas team. This is a Texas A&M team that I cannot possibly trust. So I'm going to take the Horns here. It's not great kind of either way. However, Oregon and Washington are playing one another. We got Dan Lanning talking a lot of stuff about Chattanooga. If he's not talking about the traffic in Chattanooga, I want to hear about it. The Oregon Ducks are 6.5 point favorite. However, this game is at UW, and I will say this is about that game particularly. Excuse me, that stadium particularly. That is a tough environment to play in. I'm going to take the Ducks. I'm not in love with Dan Lanning right now and the chirping about Chattanooga State. Let's keep it rolling, Ryan.
Yeah, I've got Oregon too. You got to put your money where your mouth is now, Dan. I do think they're a better football team. I agree with you that that's one of the tougher places to play. This is not the Kalen DeBoer-led Washington, Michael Penix, and all those NFL receivers, Washington, that was giving Oregon problems a couple of years ago. I think that that's now shifted to where Oregon has just been better since that happened a couple of years ago. I've got them to go in there and win by a touchdown. Might happen late, though. Might happen late.
I agree. That 6.5 point line has me leaning Oregon's way. I think it'll be a tight game. I think their defense is fine. I do like the quarterback. Going to be tricky up there. I don't know what the weather's going to be like, but I do think Oregon is a better team. I think they can win that game by 7. Could be really tight and tricky, but I'm going to give Oregon. Oregon. Yeah.
Yeah, so here's the thing about this next one is that our friends at BetQL, I'm going to give you some numbers on that when it's my turn to go. But Ryan, why don't you kick us off here? Ohio State, 10.5 point favorite at Michigan, a team that they've lost to 4 seasons in a row.
It's tough, right? Because it's in Ann Arbor. I think out of all of the seasons in these, is this 4 in a row? It's been
This will be 5 in
this.
theory.
This would be 5 if Michigan pulls it off. This is the most gap there's been, I think, between these teams in terms of talent. True freshman quarterback for Michigan. They run the ball well. It's not what it was a couple years ago. I think Ohio State gets a late cover here, ends that streak. I don't necessarily think it's going to be some performance that we look at and it necessarily confirms they're the top team in the country, but I think it's going to be one that you can respect. I just think that the gap is a little bit too much for me this time. I know that it was worse last year, Michigan, but
Yeah,
you
it
gotta
was,
at some
man.
point you gotta overcome that. Like they've been thinking about this for 4 years.
No one
Yeah.
on no one has playing, if I'm not mistaken. No one has experienced a Michigan loss in this game.
Yeah, I think it's just hard for me to imagine Bryce Underwood moving the ball and scoring enough against that Ohio State defense to really keep them in it. I think they will be able to match Ohio State physically, but I like their skill position players I like a lot more. I like their defense more. Could be tight, but I think Ohio State is going to be able to score, and I think Bryce Underwood is in for several mistakes. Ohio State defense, they're good enough to where if they get a turnover and turn it back for some points, that could be the cover there, one defensive touchdown or so. I think Bryce Underwood could absolutely make some mistakes against that defense. So I don't want to do it, but my gut is leaning Ohio State's way. I think they get the job done. Big win and turn that series possibly around, but I'm going to take Ohio State to cover that big line.
Well, I'll tell you, our friends at BetQL, which has got a lot of data and information, they've got this as Ohio State as a 13-point favorite. So they're saying there's very real value in taking Ohio State, particularly with some of these outlets, some of these houses have it at 9.5 at this stage. We do our lines based on Sunday lines. It's an editing process. I can't do everything, so that's what happens there. But I write about this a lot in our picks. We just don't know a ton about Ohio State. That's the problem. We don't. That doesn't mean it's bad, y'all. It could be good. They score a lot. They don't score like they did with those superstar teams. The defense is very good. I think Ohio State wins this game. I have no problem taking 10.5 points, though. I really don't, and it's fine with me to go ahead and collect those points. In Neyland Stadium, you're talking about one of the most curious showdowns, there will be a lot of people freaking out about this game, Ryan. The dynamic between Vandy and Tennessee is a little bit like Tech and Georgia, but Vanderbilt is a legitimate threat to take Tennessee out. We don't have massive stakes in this game that we think. Now, you get a couple losses, and Vanderbilt's right into the playoff, but they got to beat Tennessee. They're a 2.5-point underdog at Neyland.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that though. I'm going to take Tennessee at home. Tough place to play. This is at this point it's a pride game for Tennessee. You don't want to go 8-4 after. This is what happens with them, right? They get off to the hot start, they put up their 70 points. People think they're a little bit better than they actually are, and then they play Georgia or they play Alabama, and then you see what they are. What I do think they are is very capable of putting up a lot of points on this Vanderbilt defense with those receivers and with Joey Aguilar. And I think as good as Diego Pavia is, it's not going to be enough for them. I think it's going to be too much to overcome on the road. I'll take Tennessee to win, probably by a little bit more than a field goal.
Yeah, I'm leaning Tennessee too. I think their defense is playing a little better than it has been. And I just, when I first saw this line, I said, oh, okay, Pavia and Vanderbilt, they're going to run through Tennessee. Teams have been able to run on them. And I think, wow, they could run through them and lead to victory. But then I said, I don't know if they've got a defense that can stop Tennessee enough. High scoring game, kind of a shootout. That wouldn't surprise me. I think it could be an absolutely wild game that comes down to the end. I'm going to take Tennessee at home to get enough stops. And I think Joey Aguilar could have a really big day. Rivalry. This game is going to
Yeah.
matter. Maybe the biggest Tennessee Vandy game of all time, Dean. I think Tennessee's going to be ready for this. This would be a pretty bad loss for Heupel and crew. They're playing well. I think they get the job done at home. I'm going to take Tennessee.
I think the most important thing here, I'm going to take the Vols, okay? I think the most important thing here, though, is we got to focus on Diego Pavia's mom, Antoinette Padilla. We got to stop. We
Yeah,
need to,
it's
like,
not there.
we got to stop. This guy is amazing. I mean, he is just like a singular force. It's not just him at Vanderbilt, by the way, but it
Yeah.
seems this guy is an unbelievably good quarterback. But we got to like take it down a couple notches with the mom. The TV doesn't have to put the mom on every single time, and they have though. But he's something else. He's something to keep. Let's keep the cameras on the kid. I would say more than anything else. Give me Tennessee, and in this next one, I don't know, man. There's a lot of kind of meltdown right now about this game out there. It always has felt the Iron Bowl since I've been alive has always been a tricky thing to diagnose, understand. I would say you don't necessarily know what you're going to get, but usually you do. However, y'all, this game particularly, that since Alabama's been as dominant as they have since Nick got there, the one place they've really had a hard time is at Auburn. Auburn's won the last 3 times Auburn has won this game. It's been at Jordan-Hare. Since 2013, every game at Auburn has either come down to the last play of the game or Auburn has won. Now, there's only one exception, which was 2015 when Auburn was a complete train wreck and Alabama went on to win the national championship. Other than that, they have all been tight, nightmarish situations for Alabama. What happens this year? Matt, you tell me. The Tide are it's been flirting. This thing's been going all over the place, but we're going to go with 5.5-point favorite to win at Auburn.
My personal line for this game is 6.5. So I'm going to take Alabama.
He's got
I
personal
think
lines.
my personal line that I created before I looked at it. So I'm going to go with my gut, which has been wrong all season. I should go the opposite way, but I'm going to stick with my incorrect gut here. I think Auburn's defense is going to keep them in this game the entire way. Alabama cannot run the football. I'm not sure how many points are going to be scored here, but Deuce Knight, the very talented freshman, making his first start, Ryan, in SEC play against Alabama, I think some mistakes are going to be made. Things are tricky out there, but I think Alabama's the better team. They cannot lose this game. I think they're going to be ready. They can win this game by a touchdown. It might be late, but I think they're good enough to get the job done there.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but we will keep it rolling. I I think it's just so tough to play there at night, and we've seen it over and over and over again how tricky those games can be, how just weird stuff tends to happen in that stadium. I'm going to take Auburn to cover. I think Alabama will escape late somehow, but first start for a true freshman. I think that it could go really bad or it could be really good. And there's a new wrinkle there. He's clearly a heck of an athlete and can make some plays with his legs. I think that Auburn's defense at home will be enough to give Alabama some problems. Ty Simpson's not playing his best football right now. That Alabama offense can't run the ball very well, and we saw how much Georgia struggled to go in there and run the ball and how that made the game very difficult for them. Georgia's a far better rushing attack than Alabama's. I think that they're going to be asking Ty Simpson to do a lot on Saturday night, and I think he'll do enough for them to win, but I'm going to go with an Auburn cover.
And just for the record, so that was about juice. So we had to make sure the juice is in order for the day. But
Bring your own juice.
huh?
Bring your own juice,
Bring your
I
own
think Kirby
juice.
said.
Yeah. I don't know if Kirby Smart would survive this household for a day. I'm just gonna say that out loud. And he can survive a lot, but this household is something else. Does Alabama, there's no way Alabama gets in with a loss, correct?
Correct.
All right. I'm going to say Alabama wins this game. I will take Auburn, though, I mean, you're talking about 5.5 points here. I think that that's a lot at that facility. I'm going to take Auburn in this situation. This next one is special for Matt. We went ahead and went with Clemson and South Carolina. I know this game well. Matt, help me out here. Clemson is a 2.5 point favorite at the Cockroach.
I don't know. I don't know if I can help you, Dean, because I don't know who's going to win this game.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the team that's been through the gauntlet more than the other, and that team is playing at home, and that team's in the SEC, and that's South Carolina. Every once in a while, this team kind of plays well.
Yeah.
Most of the time, they don't. I think they'll find a way to escape this loss. I mean, this is what the biggest loser of the state is the loser of this game. Someone has to win. I think South Carolina, who's played better teams all year long, will be a little more ready for this game. Shane needs this one,
Yeah.
although he did win the game last year. You could make the case Dabo needs it more. I'm going to take South Carolina at home, but I don't feel great about it.
Yeah, I'm going with South Carolina too for the same reason you said. Plus, their defense has performed better than Clemson's, and Clemson's was the ones that had, hey, this guy's going to be a first round pick, this guy's going to be a first round pick, this guy's going to be a second round pick. They're not performing like that, and they're letting up 40 something points to Duke, and they're got a losing record. They were supposed to be this top five team. I just think South Carolina has been better. They've been more tested. I think you're going to see Lenore Sellers do some stupid stuff again and run around and throw it deep to Nick Harbor. It seems like that happens once a game. I like South Carolina. And this is in Williams-Brice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to take Carolina as well. If Dabo loses this game, he will be 9-8 against South Carolina. Yeah, that would be 3 of 4 against Shane Beamer that he would have lost. I mean, like Shane Beamer would have a winning record against him, I think. I think it might be 3-2, something like that, but it would be something similar to that. I'll take that. I was at the worst Carolina Clemson game, I think, in the last 40 years, which was 1998, where 1-9 South Carolina played 2-8 Clemson. And that was some bad football. This is as close to that as we've seen. One last thing on this one. Week 2 of college football, Florida, Florida State, Clemson, and South Carolina were all ranked in the top 15. And they are all a combined 18-26 this year. They are all at 18-26 this year. That is pretty rough. And you compare that to the game we're going to talk about next, which is Tech and Georgia. You know, these two teams come in combined with 3 losses. I don't know, Ryan. I mean, where are you at with this one? This game will be at the Dome on 3:30 Black Friday. The Jackets are a 12.5 point dog to Georgia.
Yeah, I think Georgia gets it done. I think that they cover this spread as well. Probably by around that, maybe in that 14 to 17 range. I just think Georgia's going to be able to do what it wants to do on offense. I think they're going to be able to run the ball. I think we've seen against defenses that even against some really good defenses this year, Georgia has been explosive. They've been able to run the ball they've played 11 games. They've been able to run nearly at will on about 9 9 of those games, maybe 8 of those games. I think they're going to be able to do that. Chauncey Bowens, Kirby basically confirmed that he would be back in the mix, so they should have their full arsenal of their rushing attack. I do kind of agree that last year's game has nothing to do with this year's game, and it's a neutral site. Georgia's very familiar with playing in that stadium, and there are going to be more Georgia fans there. There probably would have been too if it was at Bobby Dodd. I just think Georgia's going to be too overmatched. Now, Georgia Tech's not playing well, right? They might snap out of that and play better against Georgia. That's a very possible thing, but I just think they're going to be outmatched again. Haynes King's going to make his plays. They're going to get their points, but Georgia, like this is a game they should be able to get into the 40s with.
Hey, real quick, Matt. BetQL has Georgia. They should be listed as a 19-point favorite. That is a significant line. I will add, we got it at 12.5. This thing is teetering on 14 right now. So the money has come pouring in on Georgia.
Yeah, I think Georgia Tech's going to play hard. I don't think they're going to play well. Over the last 3 games, they're giving up an average of 40 points a game. I mean, they can't stop anybody right now. It just feels like the bottom is completely fallen out for that defense. The offensive line is not protecting Haynes King well. He's getting beat up, feels like every game. He can't do it all. I think Georgia should cover. I will say the respect that Kirby has for Brent Key, it doesn't irk me a little bit as far as just looking at the line. If they're up 10 late in the game, he doesn't care about your cover. He'll get out of there, and I don't think he's going to try to embarrass Brent, but their offense should be humming. I just don't see Georgia Tech being able to get many stops. I think Georgia's defense is starting to play better and better. They should be able to get some stops. Georgia's a much better team than, was it 12, 13 and a half? I'm going to take them to cover, but part of me thinks it wouldn't surprise me if Georgia Tech ended up losing by just 10 or 13 and that cover gets blown. But I'm going to take Georgia.
Yeah, the Dogs haven't covered this game in a little bit of time. I think they do this time. I'll take Georgia. I don't see this as being close. And I don't like the way Tech's played lately. I don't like the way Tech's played the bulk of the season. I mean, they played well against Virginia Tech. They played well against there was another game at the beginning of the season they played pretty well. Colorado sucks. Clemson sucks. They should have lost to Wake Forest. That game was essentially stolen from them. They played horrible against NC State. They played horrible against Pitt. They didn't play well against Boston College. I mean, I think they need to be given due credit for winning the games they did because but the other caveat from last year, y'all, is that Haynes King took about 6 weeks off, basically, and gussied up in a big way and played great against Georgia. I saw him getting off the ground. I mean, I don't know how long you were there for, Ryan. About half the game with Tech. I mean, he looks exhausted, Haynes King. I don't think that's going to get a lot better this week. You don't have the pass rushers you did a year ago if you're Georgia. But this defense is a lot better. They were 30th against the run last year. They're number 5 right now. That's a pretty big difference. I think Tech's going to have a hard time in this one. I think they're not playing well at the wrong time, particularly given this team. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video. Sorry, Ryan.